away.
All right, we're live.
Ew.
So, I guess I'll go first in what's been helping me, and then if anyone has questions on the brackets, because that's what I'm gonna go over is the bracket settings that I've been using recently, or kind of started last week. I started using it on Wednesday after I lost a bunch of money on Monday trying to trade the chop, and basically what one of my issues was mostly I'm looking for like bigger moves in the stock market. And so when it's rangy and choppy, if I get in and then it doesn't go anywhere, even if I'm in profit for a little bit, it can come back and hit my stop loss. And I feel like it's kind of dumb if I'm up like 2 grand or something to end up being red on a trade. So I started implementing the brackets up here, and these are my settings right now. So I was going to go over these. If no one knows how to use them, might help you guys out. But I do it in dollar value. You can also do it in ticks if you want. I think the dollar value is easier for me. But I'm trading 5 of the ES lots at once. So when I buy in, it'll be 5 total. So the first two that I have a take profit and a stop loss of $500 on each contract. So if the stop loss, and I also have a stop loss in the last three for 500. So if my trade doesn't go in my favor at all and goes back 10 points, obviously it's $50 per point, so 10 points total, then I lose $2,500 on the trade. But if I go in profit in 10 points, so basically I predict where the next 10-point move is happening, it'll automatically fill two of those at $500, so it locks in $1,000, and then I have an auto break even stop on these last three, where when I take that $1,000 profit, the stop loss on the last three gets moved to break even. So even if it's like a scalp play where it only moves like say like 10 or 11 points in my favor, I'm still getting at least something out of it. So that's been helping me recently. I'm going to use that going forward as well. Um, it it is kind of conservative, I think, for the way that I trade, but I also don't. I feel like I've been giving a lot back, even though I've kind of predicted where the trade's going to go. So the brackets have been helping me a lot, and I don't know if you guys use that at all or are trying to. I know Siva was
Yeah, I
using it,
am. I am. The
and
same
it.
settings on micro.
I mean, it like seems to make sense to me. I think it's better than like leaving, or at least not taking profit on some of the contracts when you get a push in your favor. I feel like 10 points in this type of markets, not a lot, because we have days where we run like 100 points or something. But obviously, it's going to be hard to catch that whole move. So I think locking in some profit at least, and then letting the last ones like scale out like where you think like price will go. I think that's a pretty safe bet. So that's what I've been doing. So like Friday
Mm.
on this sell off, I actually did want to get in earlier on this candle here, but I stuck to my rules and waited for the close, which obviously I missed this whole fucking drop, but I got in around the close here, right under when we closed under this level I had at 37.80. And then the volume was high, so I was expecting price to fall further down before it went up, at least because obviously this candle engulfs the last like 6 candles. So if you put the bracket settings on, so you can go on or off, and then say you like this candle closed, you want to get in like a little bit back, you would click it, and when you say sell, it'll show you on the side here where your profit and or your take profit and stop loss are. So let me make sure price isn't close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you do sell, so once it hits, it'll fill, and this will be your stop, and this will be your profit target. So once you get filled down here, then the last three of these will get moved to break even, and then this stop loss will go away because you only have 3 contracts left open.
Nice.
Did
Does
you
anybody have?
select that entry point while after the candle that you entered on had already started rejecting, or did you
Order
just
cancelled.
go ahead and place that order right after the real strong down candle closed.
So I actually market ordered in like right on the close. So my order was here. I really
Okay.
should be like better about doing like a limit order, at least a little bit back from the close. But there is no guarantee that it'll come back and hit that either. So I don't know. It's kind of a trade off, like risk versus reward for that. Like on
Right, because I mean, like, I'm thinking that could have stopped you out just as easily too if it like
if
reversed
it
further back.
right,
Dropping.
right. If like because if I got in here, yeah, if it came up above here, yeah, then I would have been stopped. Yeah. So that was a little risky. I think going forward, maybe when news comes out, I might switch to the 5 minute because you can
Or to
see
get an early entry.
right because because news makes the stocks or like the stock market move like crazy. So this was the first 5 minutes after the news came out on the huge spike in volume down here. Like that would have been like a way better entry. So you sell that, then you get, you know, I mean, see, then you take some profit here, but then like the rest of the three runners could run all the way down to the low a day, and you catch most of the move. So I think going forward, that's what I'm going to
Order
do is
cancelled.
play the news on the 5 minute, but wait for the closes because obviously this kind of faked out to the upside. But I think that's a better way to go, especially for FOMC. I definitely play like the 5 or the 10 minute because those days just swing like crazy. But I think going forward, anytime news comes out, I might be looking at the 5 a little bit more than the 15, just because I don't want to miss most of the move, which is what I did. So,
Like I noticed the Friday before last when I don't know what number came out, but when it rocketed higher in like the first hour and then just went sideways all day, I saw a ton of people in the Investitrade getting good entries, but I hesitated entering before the news came out and then just totally missed it.
was it this day?
Yeah, that day.
This day, yeah, that was hard to trade, I think. So
I didn't want to get in before the news came out, but like if you looked at it, like the volume spiked and it died off, so like you could have taken that as a rally-based rally, but then I guess you would have been speculating that it was going to go up. So
right, I feel like that one was really hard to play, yeah, because the news came out right after this one.
Yeah, but I think the only way that you could actually played that, and if I remember this correctly, is either on like the 4 hour or the 1 hour. There was like, if you expand those candles out a little bit, there was like clear suffocation of price, right? And I think it dipped down a little bit. Pre-market, go back a little bit.
This is the
Am I
day
in the
right
wrong-
here.
Then I'm completely in the wrong spot. Never mind, boys. Cheers.
I think the only thing that would have made you go long, even possibly at the open, because this was one of the days where we finally broke out of this like range we were in, and there was a high right here of like 38.30, and we had finally broken above it. Oh, because this was the FOMC high where we had like shot up and then we just sold off overnight, and then we were just ranging and ranging, ranging, and finally like broke out up here. Because like something I've seen too is like where we fall and just hold. So like I think it's something like this day where we break out of a big like key area. So we were holding this like 40-80 area, holding. We broke and then overnight it just held the lows. We just chop, and then we open again and then it drops. So that's what kind of happened on this day.
Wait, was it also a gap fill? Yeah, it was also a gap fill, huh?
Yes, it definitely was. Yep.
Yeah. That's huge.
But that's another thing too, where we like shoot up and then we just hold. You just hold it like overnight, and then the next day you just rock it again.
I wonder if that's
So
just literally like accumulation happening,
right, that's what I think too.
like low volume accumulation.
But those
Yeah,
are
and
hard
I
to
guess
get
that
in
you-
on the 15-minute time frame for sure.
I mean, I guess another way you could look at it is like if that was a resistance level, if it was gonna reject, it would have rejected.
Right.
Whereas-
But it just held the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm wondering pre-market. I mean, the pre-market kind of shows like buyers stepping up when we dip to the lows, like the volume kind of comes in. But
Yeah, but I think that's almost like result oriented, like backwards tracking. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think that would have been a good signal realistically to say we're gonna go long. Is that just that little indecision right there?
I know,
Because
yeah,
you know what I mean.
right, because that
Like
was also like
lower
like
volume.
yeah, because this was also like 1 in the morning. I feel like usually if you want to go long at the open, like the opening will kind of tell you to go long.
Yeah.
Like I was actually long at the open here on this day because we did have, I think it was about a 1 hour demand zone here, and then we had this high volume hammer at the lows. And I was thinking, okay, so I think I actually got in like right at the close, and I was just waiting for the opening to come, and then we like pushed up, and I thought we were going to break this trend line because we actually did this I think a week or two ago. It was basically just like that, where we like dip down, we hit a zone, and then the open was exactly opposite of this red candle. Of course, when I try it, it doesn't
I
happen.
actually
But
I got caught in that as well, to be honest with you. And I think Lido did for a couple points too.
yeah, luckily I got in here, so I put my stop to break even. I was just hoping we'd rip up, but since I was in, it was like, no, fuck that. But yeah, that's something I'm doing is the brackets. I don't know if you guys are going to try using them at all, but I've been liking them a lot. So
I think I'm gonna start using them, to be honest with you. Just 'cause it moves so fast, anyways, right now.
I think even like the auto break even is cool. So like you don't have to
Yeah.
move your stop, you just like let it kind of play out. But I feel like something I have trouble with is like when to, I guess
Take
not like when to
when to
scale
take the
out, but
profits
yeah,
on the other 3 contracts.
yeah. So what I did Friday was I was actually using the volume profile to take my profit on my last one, and I got out at 37.55. So I like almost ticked the bottom, which is kind of cool.
Right. That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I think just using like the key levels and zones is probably the best way to go about it. But
I think that volume is gonna be a huge proponent of when to take profits too, because it literally just moves from one point to the next point.
right.
So like, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking too. Cause like yeah, on just like the bigger scale.
And you could just make sure that like whenever you scale out fully, it just has confluence between like that and possibly like a demand zone.
Right.
And at that point, you know that there's a high likelihood that it's gonna wick off and reverse on you. Just have your take profit maybe like a couple points before that.
That's what I like doing too, is putting like my profit target just a little bit in front of
hell
the
yeah.
area.
Don't be a dick for a tick, dude.
Exactly. Don't be a dick
Not
for a
worth
tick.
Yeah, not worth it.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on. And then I think what I need to work on more personally is just waiting for zones to hit, or kind of key areas. I did take. I mean, I took this one. This one, I feel like this was still a good trade. We rejected off this zone. I was just late to the entry because I was waiting for the candle close, but and then we went down here, and then I sold down here, or I got out down here. So I feel like that was pretty solid. But like on Monday, I got wrecked in this trying to play this shit.
It's a
So
nasty fucking scissor right there.
I think I just need to be better about waiting for like the volume to like show like a clear sign where if we're gonna go up or down, and then the candles as well. Because really, I don't think I should have traded this at all. This is terrible.
Yeah. Look at all those wicks.
Or barcodes.
Terrible. It looks so bad. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. So hopefully, if you guys have any questions on the brackets, I can definitely help you guys. But who wants to go next?
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
Man, I have odd time just looking at 15-minute time frame. So I know people look at like 5-minute, 30-minute to see if the signal is transferring from 5 to 15 to 30. So what time frames do you actually look at?
Me
5, 15 and
personally,
30, like the VPA book says, or anything else?
I mean, for me, I'm usually watching the 15. I think I'll go down to the 5 sometimes, but usually it's like the 15 and the 30. Because the
Okay.
30, I think, gives also good signs as well. It just takes a little longer for
But
them
is
to.
it not too late for entry if you look at 30, 15 and 30?
Sometimes the 30 can be. Other times it's pretty good, I think. So like even on here, because I'm trying to find there was one day. Oh, it was this day. So this is the 30-minute on when is this? The 22nd of June. So this one was a clear sign of rejection at the 3,800 level, and this is the 30-minute. And so that one was really clear on the 30, and it even gave you a risk of like, I mean, maybe like 16 points, so maybe a little bit more than you want. But on the 15, it was like a tweezer top. So even though like the 15 gave a sign, because like I wouldn't have sold here because this looks really strong with the volume coming up.
Right.
But the next one is even higher volume, and we reject all the way back down. So even though the 30 is a higher time frame, it showed the exact same sign to go short as the lower time frame.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I mean, it kind of depends on what you like to look at and what's your style.
Well, I
I
think it
think
also depends
Yeah, if
on
on
the day.
trendy days this might work, but choppy days no, right?
right,
You need to
right,
scalp.
right.
Do you scalp as well?
I
Because I'm
try
thinking
not.
of like building edge on both.
I try
So
not to. Well, that's not what I like to do. But if I can kind of get a scalp out of something, and then it kind of and then it goes against me, then I'm fine with that. Which is why I started doing the brackets, taking profit at the 10 points, because there are days where it's kind of choppy and shitty, but you can still scalp off of the 15-minute time frame.
okay.
So that's like like the brackets are kind of me trying to scalp and kind of even make profit on days that are shit for the momentum. Yeah,
I think that is what Carmine also does, right?
that's what Square was saying, I think.
Yeah. Like secure some profit and let the runners run.
Right. So like I'm thinking like because like he was saying that he scales like 50 to 75% on the first pop, and then lets the runners run. So on something like this, if you got in at the low, I'm guessing he'd scale some or scale out most here, and then let the
But
rest
the
of it
volume
run.
is low on the next one, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is kind of a weird day because I was thinking that the volume would come in down here. Granted, this volume is almost the exact same as the previous candle, and we pushed all the way back in almost like above the halfway point of this one. So I actually did put a buy order down here, but then I took it back, and I should have just trusted my gut and taken it, but I didn't.
Isn't that inverted hammer a nice sign though?
A
That's
what?
a little bit that inverted hammer right before the big pop.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't that be a nice sign to size in right there anyways?
See,
Like if you
I
get
ended up going short here. I probably shouldn't have,
Oh really?
because
Okay.
I was thinking
Yeah,
like I was thinking that the buyers were trying to push it up, and then the sellers kind of stuffed it down, and we were going to break down under this. So
Can we see the buy sell split in the volume in TradingView?
they do have it, yes. I think they. Let me
That we
see.
will get some idea on.
So it only goes on, or so it only shows like the buy versus sell based on where the close is relative to the candle, like the spread of the candle. So it like doesn't actually show you the buying and selling pressure. They have it somewhere. I'm not sure which one it is. Let's see. That's not it.
Buying selling volume on the last but one. That one.
That one.
Well, can't you even do the force index on that, or even like a DMI indicator or oscillator? Because those should like the DMI should kind of show you that plus minus based on that, right? So if you look at the oscillator, the different colors signify buyers and sellers, which would then give you a little bit of pressure on it.
Is the blue the buyers?
Yeah,
Then what's the red?
red would be sellers, and then the middle would be like your running average.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So even on that, you could then see that buyers are ramping up rather than what you were saying with buyers getting smothered.
Right. But like, wouldn't that even show on the tape here? Like, because like the
Yeah.
volume's
Yeah.
really high, so wouldn't that show
Yeah,
like the sellers are in control on this wick?
So what you would probably see is a bunch of bid over ask, but it would be like so. Bid over ask should always mean price goes down, but as an anomaly, you'll have bid over ask, and that's usually a sign of profit taking. Like I saw that the other day on that last push before that reversal. It was all bid over ask, but price was still increasing. So you would see the same thing here. Or this would actually be opposite, right? So what you would see is actually all ask over bid printing.
Right.
So you might see a bunch of ask over bid printing, and then another huge lot bought up, right? Because market makers also want to be able to get these prices at a discount. So you might have a huge run up, and then one random anomaly, whatever the fucking word is, lot print way down low to keep that price low, and then you'll get another big pop of like what I call those reloads. So you'll have it go up one thing to just sink price one more time, and then even more volume come back in as it hits that level. Because there's probably a passive order sitting like right above that bottom wick, and that's why I came down, touched it, and then kept wicking off of it. But yeah, you would totally see that on tape. It would be all ask over bid.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I shouldn't have gone short there because we were at a key zone. And
Well,
then when
even
you look,
with that, like
what's that?
I was gonna say, even with that, like going into like what I've been applying is more Wyckoff ranges because I overtrade, and even on that, you have that indecision a little bit. So before we actually bottom out at that key level, you see those two straight dojis, right? To me, that says that stopping volume. You'll probably see it on tape as stopping volume. That's saying indecision. Obviously, we don't have enough pressure to then turn the price, so we're going to dip down to accumulate,
Right.
right? So even with that, I would say that's stopping volume. We finally reached the critical mass, which is that final indecision doji there, and then we see that pop up. And again, I don't know if this is like just resort orientation from like looking at this, but I'm looking for a selling climax, right? Which is opposite in the VPA, which would be a buying climax. But then I'm really looking for an automatic rally off this. We had a huge drop, indecision, and then we're dropping back again
Right.
with then another indecision. That's why I would start thinking more of a bullish pop there.
Well, and then yeah, if you go down to the 5 minute here, you see like we just popped, and then the actual the 15 showed high volume on the wick, but if you go down to the 5, this shows like buyers are strong, and then the sellers are super weak because the volume is super low here. So really, that's
Right.
more of like a pullback, and this is kind of what made the trend go up instead of going short on it. So I
Right,
think
and if you apply Wyckoff again, you have your selling climax, your automatic rally, and like you're saying that weak pullback, that's just that secondary test coming in, then signifying that we're above the middle and probably in the upper third of that Wyckoff range, which then signals another bull case. And then you tie that with volume and probably what tape is saying, it's probably very clear that it would be like looking back a very clear bull case.
right. And so
Again, looking back.
And like that's kind of what I kind of want to do this week maybe is watch the 5 a little bit. Mostly watch like the 15 like I normally do, but like the 5 would have probably showed me here that I'm not going to short this here because the buyers are super strong here. This is more of like a buy versus a sell. So I think that possibly could have saved me if I was looking at the lower time frames.
Right. But do you think that has any weight, or that whole stopping volume has any weight, or do you think that's just result oriented thinking? You know what I mean? Like when we're looking at that in real time, like dropping down to that key level, should we all automatically, like, we already seen the indecision at the top of the demand range? We drop
Right.
down. Like, do you think that should be viewed probably as stopping volume? And do you think you'd be able to see that in real time?
I think so. Because also, if you go back, I should have known to just long this area because when you go to, was it here? It was. If we go back to, let's see, where were we? I think this showed like the volume at this area on the volume profile is just super high.
Mm,
So knowing that, it's probably not just going to fall through here. Like we're probably going to get some sort of bounce
right.
at this zone. So I think going short was just
Especially
not
since you can see the indecision on the back end of that. Like, if you scroll right behind where you were saying, you could see how wicky it was.
right.
So this is clearly like the true level would be probably long here, because we were wiki, came down, accumulated, and now we're about to accumulate off the next range to bounce again.
Right.
I don't know. That would
Yeah. So I
be
think kind of like putting all the pieces together on like all that, just knowing that there's like a ton of buying down here. There's a ton of volume on the volume profile. So you're more than likely going to get a bounce versus just going to fall straight through it. Or if you do go through it, you're going to bounce first and then come back and test it and then break through.
yeah.
But I think using the 5 to kind of gauge, I know, kind of zoom in a little bit more on what like buying and selling is happening at the lows isn't a bad idea.
No, especially like, my white off ass is always gonna say it, but especially if you apply like any structural knowledge, you know, and build out those
Right.
kind of things, I think you'd be able to notice or have a better chance of noticing an accumulation or distribution channel to then be able to spot another rally-based rally, or like a drop-based drop or drop-based rally, based
Right.
off what the structurally telling you to do.
Right.
So I think
Because
that'd
cause
be
like because like even on the 5 here, like this area doesn't scream like a reversal to me because there's no really like no volume on the gray push up candles. But then you get this one and you're like, oh shit, okay. So now like the buyers are kind of stepping up here, which normally it happens at the bottom. So that's why that day was kind of weird. But just like here where we like kind of topped out, volume was really high leading up to it, and then we got another spike at the top. And then you could have shorted that candle perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think going forward, I'm going to use the 5 a little bit, and not necessarily to take like the signals, but kind of see, like, kind of look into the 15-minute candles a little bit more detailed and kind of see what's going on with them.
And why are you gonna not use like the 8, right? Why are you gonna go straight to the 5? Because I
Use the
know, yeah, like I know scalpers like to use the 8 sometimes. Like they'll use like the 1, 3, and 8.
I've like never used the 8. I've used the 10, which I kind of like the 10 a lot too, but I don't know, just a preference, I guess.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I do like I think the 3 for doing like scalping is great
I like the 3.
because it's a
I
little
like the
bit
1
better
and
than the
2.
5, but not as shitty as the 1, where the 1 is just awful.
I like the 1, so
Oh
you watch
god,
the time.
ugh.
I mean, it's not like I will look at the charts anyways. Too busy getting my eyes crossed on the tape.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, who wants to go next? Show us what you've been doing.
Anyone?
Yeah, I'm like relatively new to this, so I'm just learning
Alright,
from you
so
guys.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah, same here.
Alright, let's see.
So, yeah, very quick, like brief of what I'm doing. like I only trade on ES and
Right.
15 minutes. 15 minutes, that's it. I have 5, 15, and 30 side by side, and then I have a VIX, and then I have a VX futures from TOS, and then I have Bookmap open, which has level 2 and time on sales, and then I have the 6 equities open: Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, and that is all I watch. That's it. I don't zone on anything other than ES, but I'm thinking of doing it on equities as well to know where the support and resistance is and where the supply demand is, just to get an idea of if all the equities are approaching a demand, and then if it is going to bounce, ES will bounce. We'll get a early signal of like the reversal from equities. Um, so that is what I'm like testing it out right
You
now.
should try doing the zones on the VIX futures
Or
on
the VIX futures.
because like something I've noticed because I can't plot it on TradingView, but I can just do the VIX. But usually, if like the VIX hits a zone while ES hits the opposite zone, those are some of the
Yeah.
best trades that I've
Oh
seen
yeah.
like play out.
Okay. And you use 8 hour to 1 hour zones on this.
So yeah, I go
See.
daily. I do the 690 minute,
Mm,
8 hour, 4-3-2-1.
okay.
But those are some of the best trades that I've seen play out is when the VIX hits a zone and then ES and NQ also hit the opposite zone.
Mm. And there are a lot of gap ups and gap down on this, right? So it's like
Yeah,
weird.
that's why the like using the future VX versus VIX is a lot better because yeah, this one
Mm,
has lots of gaps in it and stuff. So I kind of do my best. Like obviously there's like a daily
yeah.
here, there's a daily down here, but it's not as clean as I want it to be.
Mm.
But I think plotting zones on the VIX is
Yeah.
smart.
Okay. And you use 8 hours to draw levels.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And do you usually draw like evenly distributed levels? Like,
I mean,
because some levels are like super close and
I mean for me, like I just kind of draw them where they go, like where they make sense. So you
okay.
got like so usually they end up being pretty evenly spaced out
Mm.
for the most part.
And you switch to candle and adjust.
Usually I'll do the line chart first just to kind of get
Yeah.
them like where I think they should be, and then I'll go back to the candles and then kind of see where the wicks hit. Because
Okay.
like on ES, like these are pretty evenly spaced out. There's like some bigger gaps here, but they usually work out pretty well.
Okay.
But yeah, that's something that I wish I had was the VX futures to plot the zones on because I think those are really helpful too.
Okay. I'll start zoning that as well.
And then you can share it with us
Sure.
since I don't have it.
It'll be good. Yeah, my friend he scalps like 8 equities, and he shares the trading view chart with everyone. So everyone uses the same zone.
That's smart.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I'll let Nick. How do I? There we go.
All right, so um, I noticed I have like a usually like a win rate in like the high 60s, mid 70s. Like that's usually the like range. But then I completely always overtrade. So with that being said, I had to like kind of figure out where to like find these premium trades, and off of that, I started using like a lot more Wyckoff. Um, right, because I don't like breakouts, especially in this market. Most breakouts, I think, it's kind of bullshit, right? That's why like even Van even says you have like a 95% chance of playing like the failed failure kind of thing. And if you think about it structurally, it's the same thing now.
Uh-huh.
So with that being said, I've been doing a lot more with like defining the ranges, right? So like I think Friday and Thursday I really focused on defining where we're going to be trading at. And you could see right here, this was Friday. And I had a level from like 37.43 up to 38.21. We ended up coming to this demand zone right here. And because I look at like demand zones usually as like a point of conflict rather than this is going to happen, right? So like when we come up to a zone, it's when I really start like watching the tape, right? Like that's the moment that it actually matters. So because of this, and then even having my trend line here, I was able to play this bounce, which was nice. But even just getting that like in my head, because the way I labeled this, or let's see, no, this was right. And how I had this range, it was like, okay, I see this sell off right here. During the sell off, I'm looking for an automatic rally. So as soon as this happens, I'm automatically looking for that automatic rally. And because of that, like my bias is usually correct because of the tape. Does that make sense? And it's letting me get these like nice run ups and catching them and being able to then spot the pullbacks instead of, because a lot of times when I was using the tape, I was getting in these trades and still like winning, but not getting large enough wins to justify it. Just because of not noticing when it's actually true stopping volume or whatever else. Now I'm getting better at like reading the tape and noticing when it's stopping volume and when the reversal is actually coming in, and like fake pumps with bid over ask. But by looking for like the selling climax or even the test, right? Like this test right here. Realistically, you could have probably played this because I had this 376 or 37.76 as like my whole plus minus range. So as soon as we like had this run up, you have your selling climax, your automatic rally. We reject off that 50 fib, right? And then when we come back, you have a pretty this 50 fib. Let's see. I'll tell you here in a second. From this indecision doji right here, right before the gap. Yeah. So I chart them when it's playable. So I charted this one because we were right up under it before, right? And then this other one was like also my long-term like bullish statement, right? Because if we open that morning and instead of reversing like we kind of did, right? If we had a stronger pop, right, we could have ran up and had rejected off of this. So I had that. But the whole thing being, like I said, is looking at these points and just picking better trades based off of demand zones or like structural hints, and then being able to catch these bigger, larger moves, and then just letting the chart kind of tell me what's really happening, and then getting the justification then through the tape. And it's made a big difference. So before I was scalping without zones being hit, right? And it was working and I was making profit, but it wasn't the amount of actions that was being required, right? Like even with a win rate, it wasn't large enough wins. It was just not good, right? And that's why I had to start turning to this, and that's why I built that calculator the other day, because
Right.
I was like, what was my required points per move and all that to then find these premium zones. And then that kind of led me to just staying within Wyckoff ranges because it makes it a little bit more predictable. Like for my if then statement. And so like now I'm starting to wait. That's why like the other day on this trade, right? As soon as we pretty much touched this zone, I sized in. right? So I ended up sizing in at like 47, 43. Because at that level, I saw huge prints come in, right? And again, looking at this was the same trade that we were talking about with your volume. Right here, this literally, for me, when this happened, I just saw the accumulation trying to happen. And it was more of a resistance test than a suffocation of price, right? Like you look at something like this, and on the tape, it's all just bid over ask, right? This right here, it's more of like ask over bid with just like a few rogue prints down here, or maybe a little bit of profit taking, but it's usually screaming accumulation. So as soon as I saw that we didn't get over this range right here, I waited, and as soon as we touched here, there was like two big fucking massive prints that just screamed reload and just was like, this is rejecting off of this range 100%. So I ended up sizing in, and I played like a big dum-dum and played on the wrong side of this pre-market pump and played the continuation off here, and lost a decent amount of money here. So from here up, I played like 4 or 5 plays on the pullbacks and push-ups, right? And ended up going green on the day. And it was just from playing that, and then this was really, let's see. I don't know if this one will show it. Of course, the zone's not here, but oh wait, is this? Well, even here, see, this was the real zone. It wasn't this zone over here. It was this one right here that we had, I believe. No, I'm wrong. It must have been that zone. Either way, fuck. I don't know. But either way, there was very clear like accumulation and distribution ranges going on. That like, you look at this right here, right? You have your, again, selling climax, your automatic rally, then you're looking for your test. And if you just say this is chop range right here and this is the conclusion of your test, you're pushing, if you don't look at it as Wyckoff and you just look at it as like just charting patterns, you're pushing higher lows, right? But this is a very strong bullish test right here. And then you come up, you test off that 34 EMA, right? And as soon as you retest it again, you rocket through it, and then you hold. Like that's all very bullish signals. But yeah, so it's just finding more premium zones, and that's based off just Wyckoff structures and then what's the tape saying. But I don't necessarily always wait.
I mean, it sounds like the tape really helps at the zones, kind of like show that the bounce is going to happen, or isn't maybe.
Yeah, it gives me my confirmation without having to wait for, a candle close or the pullback back down to the zone,
Right.
But that's the thing, even if you, theoretically, I should still be waiting for that pullback into that zone if we're just talking about getting a better price, right? Well, no, it would still be a better price at the first sign. But your confirmation, your like triple confirmation would then be hold of that zone, like right here. You see the push down into the zone, automatic rally up, and then when you come back down, you see that complete like accumulation with price being held up. And again, that's a very bullish, like would be secondary test, and then you skyrocket back up. And again, this plus minus zone that I had was going to be like the big sign for me today that I was going to say we were going to oscillate off of. So even with this, you could keep playing this, which I ended up doing, right? And I left profits on the table because I didn't get the run up here. I cut here, which was probably a bad call, right? Like if I was a little bit more diamond handed and really wanted to like have balls and really wait for the tape to tell me a little bit more, I would have been able to held this and run it up, but I ended up cutting here anyways. Wamp wamp.
Still, though, I feel like you're like never gonna buy the bottom or top, or like sell the bottom or top. So, and then if you're scalping, like you could play like that retest of that level because it like shot past it, came right back down, tested it again, and then you could have got long again.
Yeah, well, I could tell you. I know I played this pullback right here, right? So like I think I played that. I think I played that pullback, and I played up to here, right? So I had like 3 plays there, which that's pretty not bad. And like you said, there's other opportunities here that you could play. And I think, yeah, like there's clear shit that you could probably play up in here. Like you could have
Right.
played, like you said, the whole of this level back up. But even with that, you play this. You play right here. And like I said, if your next price target is that 50 fib, you could play that back up. But like I said, I was not upset with it. It was just whatever. No,
Right.
tape is fucking game breaking because like when you start looking and you're like, is this accumulation or is this distribution? The tape is literally sitting there telling you. And then even at the top of these ranges, like I said, you see bid over ask print, but price goes up. This is when I think Josh started to go short, and I was starting to agree with him, was because bid over ask prints, the price goes up. That's clear profit taking by institutions, right? So you understand then that move is then false. You know what I mean? And it's probably the same with the VPA sign with it being like a low volume kind of thing.
Right.
Or it might be max volume, right? It might be the max volume again, where you say high volume in the same direction. It's that pullback bullshit, right? The reversal sign.
Right.
But yeah. So you start noticing things like that, and then you start performing like your other cases, and it's really helpful. Like even here, like you'd probably see this run up right here. This would probably all be bid over ask, and then when you get up to this top range, then it's just bid over ask, and then it starts turning the other way because there's just no more demand. Where there's too much supply.
That
But
makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, no, I like the tape. Tape's dope.
So then, what are you working on this next week?
It's all position sizing because again, like when I'm most of the times I'm either cutting way too early or holding too long. So I think I'm gonna start using the brackets for break even. Because I'm either giving up too much profits or those trades are actually starting to go red, and it's just
I hate
stupid.
that. I hate it.
Especially like the way I play in those like quick. If I'm breaking it down to required points per play for my justification to get in, and whatever else, then there's no reason for me then to get greedy trying to catch the whole move.
Well, yeah,
And
because
that,
I mean, if you're going for like the scalps, you can always scalp like the move as it keeps going up and stuff.
correct, 100%. So if I'm not closing my position at the top, which I think I probably should be doing, I at least need to make sure that I'm not taking a loss on a positive play in that scenario.
Right.
And then so that's really what I need to start working on is either transforming into longer holds and playing bigger plays, which I'm trying to do, but definitely making sure that my positive plays don't go red because that's just stupid.
Right.
Yeah. So
Same.
hopefully brackets work. Hopefully.
They should.
Hell yeah, they should. They're working for you.
I've definitely been liking them a lot. I mean, it like leaves some of the profit on the table, but you're better off locking in profit than giving it all back, So
Well, that's my point, especially with the way that I usually play is that very quick. Like I said, if I'm looking at how many required points do I need, and it's not 5 or whatever, if you say this is the average and everything else, on 8 trades, I need like 1.9. There's no reason that I'm not either cutting at that point. Like, there's no reason for that style of play to get greedy,
right, because
If I
I feel like if you're a true scalper, like you basically take profit when you get it.
exactly, that's where I'm running into where it's like I'm getting greedy, and I don't know if that's where my game needs to then go into, and that's going to be the next transition. But right now, it's not copacetic because that's that like gray area where it leaves too much up for debate during a trade instead of
Right.
that robotic rule set where it's this is this.
Right.
So, and like I said, as soon as it goes up, it's like, oh, this is great. I get greedy.
Right.
And in
You
these
want
quick
more and
time
more.
frames, yeah, in these quick time frames, you see these long top wicks. Like that's a big turn in price that will fucking hurt if I'm not breaking even, especially on like a green trade,
Right.
especially in a green trade. Because that's even the other day, I ended up having like almost 5%. It was like 4 or 5% of my trades went break even. So
But that's not bad.
no, it's not bad at all. But I'm just saying, like that's. I'd rather be break even than negative, even like you said, with leaving profits on the table, because I have a positive win rate anyway. So if we extrapolate that out, then I'm still going to be positive long term, right? It's more
Right.
about reducing my losses than at that point, right?
Right. And then,
Because
and
yeah,
I think like the brackets help too. Whereas if you aren't like super disciplined in taking your profits quickly, it just does it for you. So like for me, I'm always trying to hold for like this huge move, which doesn't always happen. So if I can just actually take the profits, but I don't actually have to do it, and it just does it for me, then that's another step that I'm cutting out that I can't screw up.
right,
So
100%.
basically, like the less choices that you have to make, the less times you're going to screw up. So if you can set it to where like the brackets take profits and move stop losses and all that, then really like the less choices that you make, the less choices you can screw up. So you're probably going to be more profitable in the long run.
Exactly, and especially once you have that positive win rate established, it's just that
Right.
automatic churn and burn. So
Right.
that's the next, I think, big hurdle that I got to accomplish, and I think that's gonna be huge.
Yep.
Hopefully, yeah, yeah.
Hey Nick, I have a question to you. I assume you started trading recently.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so how sustainable is this scalping? Have you ever thought of uh, playing like this college guy? What is his name? Nover. Like he swings and he plays like insiders, like one trade a week or one trade like in 2 or 3 weeks and call it done.
Right.
Have you ever thought about it? And is this like I'm seeing the scalping too much brain power needed to read all these? Why not? I'm not saying that you should be switching away from scalping, but I'm just thinking out loud. On scalping is good, like quick money, but why not target large moves?
Um, because I'm a degen, but no, one because tape doesn't necessarily. So I prefer reading tape. It's one of the only things I actually think's realistic to give you what the market's going to do, and I think it's easier to predict, especially in this market, a shorter move than a longer move. Right? I think I'm finally moving into bigger moves with the whole trying to notice ranges and then play off Wyckoff a little bit more. But again, I don't think tape necessarily plays into holding for a long period of time.
Hmm.
Um,
But you can combine that with VPA and other
hundred
dark
percent,
or whatever, like all that
100%.
crazy stuff. Yeah.
And I think that might be the next transition, right? That's
Okay.
why, like I said, with finding the required points and everything else. But again, then there's the backside of it where I am a degen and I like pushing buttons.
Mhm.
Um, and if I have a positive win rate, because realistically, if price goes up, let's say 60 points, and Vanman, no offense, Trent, is in one contract for 60 points, that's great. He gets 60 points. But in that 60-point move, if it goes up 30 points, back 15 points, and then goes back,
Mhm.
what is that? 45 points? Is that right? Quick maths.
Mhm.
Um, then I could stand to make more money, right? If you're able to trade like that.
Okay.
Again, it goes back to you also have increased capital risk and everything else. But again, I just think it's fun to read tape and then push buttons. But no, it'd probably be better to get long term, sooner or later.
I mean, from the scalpers I see, like Nor and Umar and all them, like I think scalping's good too, and I think it's even better probably when you have a bunch of money, because like
Yeah.
Nor scalps like
Well,
Tesla
that's the
with
big part is me getting my funding, right? So
right,
I'm sort of, like doing my funding and everything else. And at that point, when I have the $50,000 buying power, you know, it's gonna be so much easier for me to make my profits on that. You know?
because like Nor will scalp like an Amazon call or something, but he buys in with like $150,000, catches like a single one minute
Yeah.
candle and makes like 20K, and then he's done on the day.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Crazy.
so crazy.
And like even with that, like if that's what it is, that's not that bad, especially if you're just waiting for premium trades. You know?
Right, which is what he does. He just has like one price point on the chart that he's looking for at like on the week, and he just waits and waits and waits until it gets there, takes his one little scalp, and then he's done.
Yeah, that's
But
huge.
but when you're making like $15,000 to $40,000 on a trade, I mean, why would you even waste your time with anything else?
Right. Well, like you even told me when I first started, you don't get paid for your time; you get paid for opportunity.
Hey,
So if it's
yeah,
not there, why are you even sitting?
and like that's something too that I need to work on this like next week is just wait for the zones, wait for the key levels. If you force something out of it, you're probably going to lose. So you're just being dumb at that point.
That's a huge thing I need to work on, and that's why I had to build out that calculator for my dumbass so I could see it. You know,
Right.
where it's the patience and everything else. Yeah.
Yep. Hell yeah.
All right.
Anyone else want to go? Or any questions they have or anything?
Sure, yeah, I'll go. I mean, I'm pretty new to this, so one thing that I've started with recently is just trading off the 15-minute time frame and waiting for the candle closes. When I first started, I was trading before the candle closes, and I'd constantly get faked out. So far, I've got like 37 trades, and I have about a 58% accuracy rate. So, or 58% profitability. So, it seems like the signals are working pretty well. One thing I have to work on is just managing my emotions. Still have anxiety, getting into the trade and holding until a profit target, even if it's moving convincingly towards the profit target. Still struggling with that. I don't know if you have any tips on how long it takes to get over that. Like I can paper trade it fine, but then if I'm putting real capital on, um, yeah, it's still hard to
It's
feel.
definitely harder, yeah, with the real money.
Yeah, and
I mean, for me, I feel like I tried just not to watch every tick of it because once I'm in, like I've already made the choice. Like this is either gonna
right,
this is either gonna hit my stop or I'm gonna take some money out of it. So I don't know. I like for me, I try not to watch it as much because if I do, then then I start to look at it. I'm like, well, maybe I should close it a little bit earlier, or something, or like, or it goes red. I'm like, well, if I close it now, then my stop loss won't fully get hit, and I won't lose that same amount.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think being like just committed to the trade, and so you like, since you're waiting for the candle closes, like you're and analyzing like the whole time. You're like, all right, so I think this is going to look good. Like the volume lines up, everything, and then once you hit it, just let it go. I mean, it's
yeah. And I mean, like I've been trying to like I'm an engineer by trade, so like I've like
me
pretty good with
too.
stats. So like I know that like each trade, the way I try to look at it is like each trade's a binary outcome. Like it's either going to work out or not. But like, in the long run, like the probability is with you.
Right.
And that's what I've been trying to like bang into my head. And I think it's helping, but still, like later in the week, I was better than earlier in the week. That's for sure. But
I think that's also kind of something that's like helped me is when I see like if I lose on a trade and then I take the next trade and it totally wipes out my loss, because that's what I did on Wednesday, I think. When I took my loss when I went short and I shouldn't have went short, and then I went long. So on my first trade, I lost like $2,500, but then my trade after that hit for like 5,800. So even though I was one like 1 for 2 on the day, I was still way up in terms of profit. So I think if you can like if you can have trades that show that if you limit your risk, then you let your winning trades run, then it kind of
Mhm.
helps like reinforce that like the system works over a long term. Like it may not work per like obviously every trade isn't going to work, but I
Yeah.
think I think seeing that in like real time helps a lot too.
Yeah.
And not even to just to piggyback off that, the big thing about that too is then making sure your losses are small and making so then your next winner could basically recoup from that is so
Mhm.
big on I feel like the mental side of it. So you're not having that like trying to fight back or get that back like revenge trading kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also Lito even said that I think like the most profitable traders at like SMB aren't the ones that have like the highest or consistently highest returns. It's literally the ones that lose the least consistently. So it's literally
Yeah.
all about loss prevention and just appropriate risk management. And over that, if you're trading a successful strategy, you'll literally it's impossible to go red. You know,
Right.
like
Right.
Yeah.
over the long term. But yeah,
Yeah.
That's like kind of something that like I've had to work on too is if I take a loss, like there'll be times where I want to get back in like right away and then try and make it back. And that's usually when I lose for a second time or like a third time. And then my losses just stack up on the day versus just knowing that, if I take this loss, I can wait for the next sign to come in and then take a good trade. And then if the good trade hits, then you're going to be green on the day or pretty close too. So I think just not going on tilt is a big thing too, and just knowing that I think being like comfortable with the loss, like you click it and
yeah.
all right, I'm possibly going to lose $1,000 on this trade, and then just be totally fine with that.
hmm
So I
And
think
here's the thing too, because maybe it's just my tism having ass, but like if you are actually okay with accepting that like first loss, if you wait for a premium setup and you're having a successful win rate, then aren't you statistically more likely to then have a successful trade rather than revenge trading it all back right away? Because
if
you'd have your,
I would think
your
so. Yeah.
right because it would be compounding on your win, like you already experienced your loss. So it'd
That's what I
really
would think
be
about.
yeah, so it'd be actually more to your advantage, and you probably get a bigger and better or a higher win rate play by
uh,
waiting rather than just FOMOing into the next trade.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of that fucking stop, reverse, cancel kind of button, you know?
yes.
Yeah.
But
It's
and
just-
then also like for me, I have a hard time just ending red on the day. Like I hate to do that,
yeah,
but I need to get more comfortable with that being something that happens and being fine with it.
yeah.
Because like I know for me, like I hate ending up red. Like it sucks. But usually when I end up red, I'm really red because I tried to trade it back and I took a
Mhm.
bunch of losses back to back to back, and now I don't have like a $2,000 loss. I have like a $10,000 loss.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're literally talking to Mr. Overtrader, dude. Talk about scalping and reading the tape and just being a fucking degen. Yeah, dude, I push that button a lot. Like, yeah, dude. Nah, I don't like going red, and that's why I won't let myself play the first like 30 minutes most time.
Oh really?
Yeah, because the first 30 minutes, especially recently, like yeah, there's a big move, but um, that info isn't really present on the tape, right? And within the first 30 minutes, I could start establishing my case to which way I want it to go, or which way I'm thinking it's gonna go. You know, um, and then get that justification through tape. So I get like 30 minutes of just watching tape to see what's gonna happen, and you'll get a really clear reversal point at that point with what's gonna happen because you know most times it's a very strong move, hard stop, and like a pretty sharp reversal, right? And so on tape, that's very, very apparent. So yeah, no 30 minutes. I lose a lot of money in 30 minutes. Yeah.
And like that's kind of where like the brackets come in for me too, is where once I click it, then I don't have to do anything. So if I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. But the brackets help me kind of be hands off still and not touch it or close it early or anything.
hmm No, I think that's I really think that's gonna need to be like my next big thing.
Yeah.
Because again, the scalping in this market, it's I have to pick a style, and if it is gonna be that scalping style, it needs to be that robotic.
Right.
And if it's gonna be this more larger move, then I need to get more Pepto Bismol and like antacids. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like, like shit.
uh,
Because that's the thing. Like I could get these larger moves, but with the tape, you can't. I don't. Yeah, because it's, with tape, if I'm seeing like weakness come in, how am I supposed to hold through weakness? You know, it just
you just close your eyes with a stop at break even and just let it
go
ride.
about your Dude, Josh was telling me about the glory days when he first started trading. He was like, yeah, dude, I'd set a trade, walk away for like 30 minutes, vacuum a little bit, and come back and just be green. Thing would still be trending. I'm like, what? What's trending?
Right.
Yeah, whatever. It's all good.
COVID just straight up. God. Well, sweet.
This bracket is working, man. Last week I tried for 2 days in Sim, and it actually works.
That's what I'm saying. Like if we
I
just
I have this bad habit of moving stop loss down, hoping that it'll like I'm not gonna. Uh, the the thing is, first I saw like 200, $300 profit. I didn't lock it because I play with one contract, and then it went down. I was looking for a big move. It went down, down, down. I did not stop. I kept moving the stop loss down, 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 and then like I made 2K in like 10 to 15 trades, and then I lost 2K in 2 trades.
yeah.
I gave everything back. So I should
Yeah.
learn like if I enter a trade, my now I'm using 5 micro, and then 10 points risk. So it's like $250 every trade I lose,
Right.
and I should just don't think about the when I place the trade. I should be like I lost 250 on this. That's it, right? That is I'm building that mentality with the sim. But with real account, I always tend to move my stop loss lower and lower and lose more.
That's a rule I have is like once I get in the trade and I move my stop loss to where it like makes sense, I just don't even touch it anymore. Like if it hits,
Mm,
it hits, and then you lose, but that's it.
yeah.
Once I
Always
set
try
it, it's just done. Profit targets, I've definitely moved those farther and farther, thinking like, all right, I'm gonna squeeze a little more out, and then it ends up not
Yeah.
working. So
Yes.
I've had like the opposite problem.
Right.
I
Yeah.
could even tell
Putting
you.
the target above the current price, and that one actually is good because when it pops up, you're catching it and getting the profit out of it. What I do is like when it goes out, when I say I'm long and then I'm like up 10 points, I move my stop loss to break even or like 5 points, and then I keep like slowly take my a sell limit closer, like a trailing stop but manual trail stop. So I just take slowly drag it closer to the price, and then sudden like the dump will catch my stop, and I never catch the top of the move. But with brackets, I in my last like 4 to 5 trades, it is catching.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I gotta put it in.
yeah. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try multiple combinations of taking profit, like every 5 points, take it, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think after you get like the first pop and you scale out, I think scaling out on the volume spikes, even if you're using
yeah.
like the 5 minute or the 10 minute or something, I think that's a really good
Hmm,
strategy to use.
hmm.
Because I think Derek didn't you take a trade and you said that you should have scaled out on one of the spikes, but you didn't, and then it ended up
Yeah, that
coming
was
back.
the one on Friday where it went over VWAP and then they had that nice wick.
Oh,
I went
yep.
short there, and then it started going up, but then it actually did go down, and it was a real strong down candle. But then it seemed like it just held at like 68. And the next candle was green, and I was thinking, well, maybe it's gonna go down again. But then that candle closed green, and then the next candle started coming up, and I was like, I closed it out because I didn't get in with the best risk management to start off with,
Right.
and I wasn't totally happy with how I placed the trade, and then I was like, I'm not gonna let this thing go red on me. So, but yeah, the one drop candle had higher volume. It wasn't like really higher, but it was definitely higher than the previous candle. So technically per the strategy, it would have been at least a scale.
Right. Yeah.
Well, then don't you scale 2/3 at the first volume spike?
So going forward, I'm taking my 2 contracts off at 10 points, and then if I don't have like a good area that I want to get out at, then I'll scale at the volume spikes. Yeah.
Okay. But before it was the 2/3 at the first volume and then the close at the last, right?
Right.
That's what it
Yeah.
was. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like my first scale would be at the first spike in volume when the candle kind of goes in my favor, or it's like a bigger candle in favor of the trade.
And you're still playing candle close for volume spike, obviously. Okay. Never mind.
Yo,
You don't look at the tape, right, Trent?
me? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I scale out when I see a large passive order sitting, and if there is a key level there, I see that as a resistance, and then I scale out like 25 or 50, like 0.25 or 0.5 points away from that, like before that. Hmm.
That's smart too, I think, is like basically kind of putting your profit target a couple points or like even half a point in front of like a big area
Yeah.
on the
Right.
tape or on like the chart or something. Because like on Friday, I only scaled out 3 of the 5 on my trade down here because I was looking for this 3750 area to hit, but it never did. So that kind of sucked. But yeah, I think putting it just a little bit
In
in
one of the
front.
long, yeah, in one of the long, you had 3747 or something, like limit order, and then you removed it. You remember?
Yep, this
That
one.
one you could have made like a lot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because
you
I
removed it, right?
because I was thinking of going long after this one right here, and I put like a buy order at 37.47, and then I
Yeah.
took it away because I was scared. Damn it.
Shit, that's like 70, 80 points. Looks like.
Oh man. See, I don't think I would have caught it all. So even if I got in at 37.47 here, I would have sold
Hmm.
2 at 57, I think I would have scaled out on this big one, on this big spike here as well, and then I would have had two
But
left.
that is not a big. That is not a high volume, right?
No,
The
but it's a bigger
big
push.
body.
But it's a
Hmm.
bigger push, and then I have a key level here at 3780.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
I definitely would have scaled some there.
I mean,
And
that's also a divergent candle too, like based off volume.
right.
See, that would want to
So
be scaled, right?
I mean, I don't think I would have caught all of it, but I think I probably could have caught maybe like 3/4 of it if I had bought the bottom of it.
Which is pretty fucking nice.
Oh yeah. But because on my last scale up, I did nail the top wick up here. I think I got out at 37 or 38.19, and I think we went to like 38.22. Because I think Siva, I think you got out at the top.
Yes.
Because and the whole reason that I scaled out there was because the point of control was at 37 or 38.19, I believe. So I figured that was a good
Oh
area
wait,
to.
no, wasn't it 39, 18? I
Yeah.
remember you saying 18.
Yep. It was
That's when I had my top range at like 3084, and we ended up busting all the way to that. Yeah, and yeah, dude, that was a
Yep.
good plan. Yeah.
So I think I'm liking the volume profile a lot too for areas like that as well. Just where the most volume comes in, so you can kind of at least get out in that area.
Yeah.
Like the POC, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Henry is like super into VP, like volume profile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he
I think it's awesome.
looks for a play like from value area low to high, and then back to from high to low.
That's what I've noticed too. Like those have been kind of working a lot
The
as well.
ranging days is perfect for that.
Right.
Well, actually, I was talking to Josh about this the other day, and I think indicators like RSI or even like volume profile right now, with the amount of like what I think is manipulation with algos, I think indicators like that are gonna have huge success right now, or like value area high to value area low, because that's all programmable things you could put into
Yeah,
an
that
algo.
is either like accumulation or distribution, right?
Yeah,
So they
and
keep testing the floor and ceiling before they break out.
yeah, but I'm
Right.
just saying, like with algos being programmed with like RSI or whatever else, like overbought conditions and all whatever else, I think that's one of the reasons why they've been doing super well recently.
Hmm.
Is because I think this whole market's just all bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. My scalping friend, like 8-figure account, he always uses like 3-minute time frame, RSI, and volume. That's it, and support resistance. Nothing
Damn.
else. He
And
makes
then
like 30-40K every day.
that's insane.
Ah, yeah.
Does he trade the futures or does he trade stocks?
He trades futures like on the way to the gym. Crazy guy
What the
on the
fuck?
phone on the phone when he's like going for a vacation. On the way to the airport, he scalps and posts
Jesus.
like 3K 4K profit, like FOMO.
That's
His post
insane.
is like yeah, crazy. And he's mainly into options like eight stocks: SPY, SPX, Google, Tesla, Amazon,
Like all the main ones.
IWM, I guess. Yeah. Microsoft, Apple, mainly SPY and SPX,
That's wild.
QQQ. Yeah. And he's also like super fast in getting in and getting out. Yeah, that day I tried to share screen to Nick and Josh, but it did not work. Maybe I'll try now.
Yeah,
Let me
try it.
see.
I don't really have anything else to go over or anything. I think that was good.
I like that.
Grant, I had one more question.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the volume profile on TradingView, how far back do you like to look Or how much like time do you like to include in your screen when you're marking out the levels of importance?
So, can you see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Usually I like to, I mean, I kind of zoom in, like in and out to kind of get the areas that are like the biggest. So, like, I would probably like mainly do like the legs that we see. So we have like a big leg down, leg up, and leg back down. So so I would probably do something like this where I'm seeing like, okay, so the point of control right now is like 3770 ish, and there's another spike up here around 3900. So I'm thinking if
Yeah.
we, and then we're right at this level right here. So then if I zoom in a little more, kind of see where the levels are. So I'm looking like, okay, if we break over, so now like I'm zooming into just this current up and down
Yeah.
where, so the point of control is 3780. We have this area here. There's a volume spike here. So this zone, it isn't super strong, but this is probably where if you go long, you probably take profit here, but we could get up to
Yeah.
here. So I kind
Would
of
you
zoom.
only size in on that? See how there's heavy volume on the bottom, and then there's that like intermediate volume to that other volume spike. Would you only size in at the top volume spike?
What do you
Does that
mean?
make sense?
What right here?
Yeah. Is that where you would size in, or would you size in below that?
I mean, I wouldn't take trades off it. I would just say that like if we hold up, like basically take them as like zones. Like, all right, so
Oh,
if we hold above here, then I would be looking to go long up into this area. So that's why right here I have saying long above this level and then short below this level because like the
okay.
volume.
Okay.
So like the volume, like this is the biggest zone right here, but the volume falls off under this 3744. Like there's really
Mhm.
not much down here. So I would expect us to at least drop to this next zone. And so that's like a 40-point move or something.
Right.
So that's what I kind of like to do is just zoom in and out. So kind of on the day or like the last like few days you can zoom in and out and you can see, we have tons of volume up here. So if we can break and hold above this zone, I think we're going to push up at least into here. So that's another, that's maybe 20 points or so. So that's a decent move. And then you have a lot of volume here, but the volume really kind of falls off under this level. And there's really nothing holding price up under this 3740. So you can get down to at least 3720. And then even on the bigger time frames, kind of zoom out. So I'd probably just take into account just the most recent range we've like been in. So
Yeah.
even if you zoom out a little bit, so you got the point of control up here, 41.25, and then I zoom in a little bit more and see if it changes. Still up there. Now it's here. Now it's 39.28. So like this zone is big, this zone is big, and then if you zoom in a little more, then down here is big. So like that's kind of how I use it. I just kind of zoom in and out to see where the volume comes in.
Okay, makes sense.
If that, yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely looking to go short under this 3740 area, at least down to 3700 probably where we wick down here. And that's strictly due to the volume profile because I think we'll find some resistance again down here where this volume picks up in this area, like 3675. But really, after you get under the 3740, there's like no zone holding it up and no like volume over here. So I think we drop down to this next node. Yep.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely liking the volume profile to kind of get the strength of the zones too.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best part of it. Getting that
Definitely.
strength.
hmm And that's what I was doing kind of in intraday as well. Just watching like where the volume kind of comes in and out because you can kind of take your profits at like those points too, which is how I was able to scale out on Friday at the low because I mean, the volume doesn't show it here, but we had like a volume spike around 37.55.
Mm,
And so that's what I was kind of watching because it takes into account the whole day. So this is where like a lot of volume was at, this 37.55 area. And so I just put like a buy down there to cover one of my shorts, and it hit. And then I had one at 37.50, but that one never got filled. But I think using that like to like kind of take your profits and all that, and then look for like the strong zones is really helpful.
that's gonna be huge. Especially, I probably should really start introducing that to what I'm doing, especially if I'm trying to find like these true quote unquote ranges that we're gonna be trading into. You know,
Right.
'cause that's literally the definition of a stop and reversal point in a range is just that high volume area. And if it has confluence with a demand zone and whatnot, it's gonna be
Well,
huge.
like that's what I was telling Ben too. I was telling him like I feel like you could scalp almost off of the volume profile on the day as well, because you can kind of get the areas where lots of volume comes in, and like look to as that kind of use that as like support and resistance on like the day.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that yes, and that's the thing is that the whole reason people use it is that price moves from one of the peaks to the other peak, right? So
Right.
even with that, if you're looking at one of the peaks saying it's gonna go this way or this way, you know, just scalp the reversal and it should be fine.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
if your original thesis is fine. But yeah,
I mean,
100%. And then if I could use that to find my daily ranges, that's huge.
so let me see. I'm trying to
Yeah.
see like if we go to the 1 minute on Friday, I'm really curious. So like if you're looking at this, so like this is the 1 minute. You get your point of control at 37.83, but the next like volume spike or volume areas at like 37.94. Like I would be thinking, if we get above this area, we're probably going to come up and hit
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and then
That's
you end
yeah.
up going up there, and then the volume spike gets larger up here because that's the next zone. And then if you hold above that, then the next one's up here, and then
Hmm.
we hit that as well, and then the volume just grows up there.
Now, does that strengthen your VPA signals then?
I haven't really correlated it to VPA, but I feel like it could.
Right, because it's both based off volume.
Right.
So if you have like my thing is like here's a question for you. If you have let's say you're in a high volume area, right? And you have a candle that's low volume, would that then strengthen like exhaustion circumstances for then the reversal even stronger? Like if you're on an uptrend and you should be in a high volume area, you have a high volume candle that goes up and then you have like a shooting star with low volume. Would that then strengthen uh, a bear case for the reversal off that for exhaustion sake?
I feel like it could.
Hmm.
I think more so I'd play it as like just a zone on the day. Like if we had this, like, all right, this is a zone. This is like the high volume zone. If we break above it, I'm more kind of bullish. If we break below it,
Right.
then I'm bearish. And then use like the VPA signs to
Then play throughout the
to
day.
play it. Like
Right.
I'm trying to. It's like say you had it like this. Like to me, like this would be a short, which I think this is the one that Derek took. I mean, this is the 5 minute, but still, like obviously the volume's
Yeah.
super high here. We tried to break above, and we got pretty far up above this level, and then
Mhm.
shot back down. So then if you took it short here and then look to like cover down here where the volume kind of spikes again.
Which is where I
Right.
should have taken it.
Right. I think using that, I feel like that's pretty powerful too.
Well,
Just
even
pull.
the nice part on that is off that short is that if you did take that short and you do have that demand zone with that red candle and then that engulfing green. And that's probably real close to where you should have had your profit taking on that volume, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I got to really start using this volume thing.
Granted, this is the 5 minutes. So that was kind of hard to see too. But if you had the volume profile up, then it shows you that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that'd be awesome.
this would kind of be somewhat of a zone too. It's not super strong, but
again, if you're playing that just a slight pullback and not saying we're shorting to the future, again,
right.
I always put my take profits a little bit above that zone because it's a reactionary area and it could react violently either way.
Right.
If you have that right above that zone, theoretically, you'd be getting your take profits and you're fine, or scaling out decently. That's awesome.
Right.
I really gotta start using that volume stuff.
I think it's definitely something we should use for sure. I think I'm gonna use it more too, because it definitely helped me tick this low. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, everything's a lot better when it really makes you money too, huh?
Definitely. That's all that matters.
That's it. And then, did you stop using the volume oscillator?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Just didn't see the value in it, or just didn't fit your strategy?
Yeah. I just rather play like the volume and the price action.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
And then the zones. Just kind of less noise to look at.
I agree with you on that.
This was also a good short too due to this zone.
Yeah.
And we just ticked it.
And you had that low volume right there on that push too. Because that's what I was reading the other day about the reason why low volume at the top of a range, right? It literally is a sign of exhaustion and disinterest,
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, then, if it's a climax, it's safe to assume that you're not going to see as vicious of a reaction. But because you have that exhaustion going into a supply zone, I bet you we could have probably assumed that it was going to be a vicious turn down. But I don't know. Like, the thing that sucks is that even if he sized into this at the end, right? You usually play, or you used to play, your risk would be at the top of the wick.
Right.
You would have got shaken out anyways on it, right? Which is kind of poopy, dude.
Well,
Those bastards.
Well, like if you were waiting for the close, like on this, because what's the?
No, I was going back to the other one, the big red engulfing red. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, like you had that exhaustion on that buy,
right?
But then even if you set your stop loss to the top of the wick, you would have got shaken out anyways.
Right.
Which just sucks.
I think that happened to
red
Sarge.
candle. That red candle is eating like 5-6 candles.
Right. Mm-hmm. And like that's why I ended up going short on it, just because it was so strong with the volume. I was thinking this is going to go down at least 10 more points for a scalp versus coming back up.
Did you go short on the close of this candle?
Yeah.
Well, that's even like the
red candle.
Book.
Yeah, okay. I went short like right here.
Okay.
Well, that's like Anna says. It needs the price doesn't stop in reverse on a dime, especially with a strength like a sign of weakness like that.
Right.
You're gonna have to have at least 2 more candles or whatever it is to have that actual slowing effect. That's
the
intended.
Pivot low. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I put my next profit target at 37.50, because I was thinking this was at least going to come down and test this line down here, but we never got it.
Mm-hmm.
But because that was strong. Yeah, that was a really strong candle. For sure. Well, I don't think I have anything else.
I'm good.
Cool.
I shared a video in Daily Commentary.
Okay.
That guy explains volume profile, cumulative delta, trading.
Oh, perfect.
Hell yeah.
Well, sweet. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, that was awesome. Toodaloo, boys.
Thanks for having it.
Thank you.
Let's kill it next
Sorry
week.
for my silence,
Oh yeah,
guys.
hell yeah.
In a
I think
podcast.
we could have
Texas.
caught that like what is it? Like 5-point move right now. If you look at ES, 15-minute.
This.
Yeah, go to the 15-minute candle, the big
Uh-huh.
volume.
This one.
The fifth.
Oh, this.
Oh, not that one. The next big red.
Oh, right here.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that was big.
That is a good shot, and then it never moved above the close.
Yep.
That's like how much point is it?
You only risk like 7.
Scalping. Good scalping. Yeah. Like
Definitely.
7 points.
Yep.
7 points. Yeah.
Yep. Definitely could.
Sometimes this VPA works a lot better after hours.
Yeah, because the volume is so low. So like when the
Yes.
volume does come in, it's
Less
really
manipulation.
clear. Yep.
Maybe algorithms running, but less market makers.
Well, I think
Right.
it's all market makers, right? That's why the moves are more true.
Yeah, but less market, less impact.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. Like the volume is like clear when it actually
Yeah.
comes in versus when it's low.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. All right, fellas, I'm out.
Doodles.
Peace.
Yep.